for this edition of the Pokemon Go Fireside Chat. I can't really think of too much of a segue. Well, that's a lie, one just came to mind. It's summer, the birds are chirping, the heat is blazing, and I get the worst end of both worlds for the sake of recording because I can't run the AC while commenting because that'll be too loud, but because the AC is installed into the window for the rest of the summer, I can't block out any background noise, so if you happen to hear things like dogs barking or birds chirping, in addition to this podcast, blame summer. Can't exactly move my setup to a more convenient, less noisy location just because the fact that my computer is not very portable. Now that I've scared everyone off the podcast, let's actually get into it. Since it's the beginning of a new month, I think it's about time to give everyone an overview of what's going on in the future for the month. I talk about events that have happened the last month, but Goldfish memory is just really kicking in today and I can barely remember. What I can tell you is that before this podcast goes live, the first part of the 3rd anniversary bonuses will be disappearing. So if you're looking for Party Hat Pikachus and Photobombs, Party Hat Pikachus and eggs, as well as the low-end spawns that they added after the fact, hopefully you got your fill of them. In addition, Candella's Global Community Day, or I should say GoFest Challenge will have ended, and on Tuesday, 4 p.m. in my Eastern time zone, but likely different in yours, your typical event-changing time frame, the rewards for those research will come into play, because just yesterday on Thursday night, I should say, we hit the goals, all the teams, at a very equal pace. No lies in here whatsoever. So we'll be getting times 3 catch EXP, times 2 raid EXP, 3 times hatch EXP, and 1 hour lucky eggs. Yay! I wish I could be a little more sincere with my celebration, but I personally just haven't had a reason to go after EXP after I hit level 40. I know some people just go on the grind for the sake of the grind, but it's a little harder to get into that concept when it's essentially a pay-to-win system. Because like eggs cost in-game currency, and if you want to keep up with your other EXP grinders, you have to pay money. And it just feels like such a waste of money to basically be buying extra XP when you don't even need it anymore for anything within the game. But if you do EXP grind, that's your own business. If that's how you enjoy the game, then feel free to enjoy the game that way. I only bring into that tangent that could be interpreted as negativity, because there are some ideas in the back of my head of ways we can make EXP exciting for all people once they hit level 40, even those that don't just track the numbers. But I feel like it'd be more suited for its own special podcast. An editorial, you could say. To try to get back on the topic of breezing through upcoming events, as part of the Global Research Rewards, we'll be getting an Entei Raid Day on Sunday, July 14th at 4 p.m. My favorite time frame for events in the world. But hey, you know what? I'd rather have Shiny Entei work out for someone else. I'd rather be on a time frame that works out for other people who are really excited to grind for it. When I already kind of had the mindset of Raikou was the one I wanted to grind for, I'm going to take it easy with Entei and Suicune. Maybe just do my free passes, maybe 1 or 2 more if I'm already past shy into doing all the raids in that particular area. And I think with this Entei Day being on a Sunday evening, with me going to work on the following day, it's a perfect time to just stick real close to home, do my free passes, and then get back home. It'll work out for me that way, so I hope that this event will work out for people the way they want to. I think there's just enough gyms in the town closest to home that we could do all the raids around this area, and I'll be gone for all my free passes. I'll be honest, I'll be tempted to keep going if I don't get a Shiny Entei in those 5 or 6 raids, but I just don't know yet if it's worth spending the raid passes, especially when we're getting so many other opportunities for raiding that are probably way more beneficial. I'll get to that in a sec though. Actually, with it being the most recent thing and actually happening before Entei Day, why don't I just go into it now? Mewtwo is coming back. Yes, objectively, the most valuable Pokemon in Pokemon Go is coming back to raids. No EX raid system tied behind it. No 3-hour window. No special catch. It's just gonna be out in raids. Okay, I lied. There's one catch. It's getting a new look to it. Armor Mewtwo raids are now going to be a thing. Mewtwo is returning to 5-star raid battles, and this time he's sporting a new set of armor. Yay! He appears to may share the same stats and moves as regular Mewtwo, but this has not been confirmed yet. Yeah, there's speculation out there solely based on Niantic's vague wording of things of exactly how it's going to go down, but I personally think it'd be best to keep your expectation low than just think of this as the Mewtwo you've seen before, but with a stylish new look. Your mileage on the word stylish may vary depending on your personal taste. Here's something in particular I want to bring up because I don't see too many outlets going into the detail. This new armor that Mewtwo's getting isn't just something random out of the blue that Niantic is pretty much adding on their own to Pokemon Go. It's not like a Pikachu with a hat, or even a Squirtle Squad Squirtle, which is based on something in the anime, but using the assets Pokemon Go already had. No, this is pretty much copy-paste promotional, what would be the term? Models, and I'll just use the word imagery. This is almost face-to-face, word-to-word, pixel-to-pixel, something like that, based on Mewtwo's armor look from the upcoming Pokemon movie, which is in effect a remake of the very first Pokemon movie. So if you were wondering why Mewtwo looks like a Digimon, just blame the new movie coming out. Yeah, it doesn't take away from the hype that comes from Mewtwo's return to raids, but if I gotta throw my opinion out here, because I have this platform, so why not? I assume if you're actually listening to me, you're interested in my opinions on things, so I'll just throw it out there. I'm not the hugest fan of this new armor Mewtwo. I prefer the original style of Mewtwo, and heck, I think I even prefer the style of Mewtwo's armor from the very first movie. To be fair, I feel like this armor Mewtwo plays a lot more of a plot role in the remake than it did in the original movie. In the original movie, I think if I recall, Mewtwo had like armor which Team Rocket made for it to allegedly control it for maybe like 2 seconds, but then Mewtwo broke control, or said screw it, I'm not gonna follow you just because you made me this cool gear, and just destroyed everything and flew off on his own, and we never saw a mention of the armor again. And I guess the point of all that is they kind of, I don't know where they're going with putting so much more emphasis on the armor this time. Like, I feel like you probably may not have ever known that Mewtwo wore armor if it wasn't for this remake pushing that concept so much. But despite the fact that I'm not the hugest fan of the design, I'm definitely not going to complain. This is the sort of thing Pokemon Go kind of needs to keep people interested. Especially with this whole raiding scene, we kind of fallen into a pattern. A legendary Pokemon or a Pokemon with similar stats gets introduced into raids. Everyone's excited because it's a new entry for their decks, and depending on how powerful it is, it drives people to raid even more. When you get through that legendary Pokemon, it returns, people aren't interested in it because a lot of the raiders have already gotten it the first round. We introduce a shiny, and it temporarily builds hype back into raiding for that legendary Pokemon. Not only is it a new form for people to go out and catch and collect, it gives the opportunity for people who missed out on it the first time around to actually raid for it, because there's actually a group of people to raid. Because the people who already got it are still interested in raiding to try to get this shiny form, which allows the new people to have an adequate sized raid group to actually take them down. Now, I know not everyone has the luxury of actually having a raiding group, but I'm just saying, like, even people who have a group of people to raid with may struggle to actually be able to do raids of legendary Pokemon that have already been released, because a lot of people got it the first time around. I've also seen it brought up that there's a little bit of fear in actually investing in your Pokemon, because since Niantic could introduce a new move at any time and make it exclusive for those raids to try to promote people going out, making the legendary Pokemon that you already powered up and invested dust into obsolete. So in some sense that kind of just feeds into the, why should I raid for this Pokemon if they're just going to release a better one in the future? And I guess my whole point with that tangent is, maybe introducing new forms of legendary Pokemon like this is the way to get people excited to go out and raid for it. Maybe it's a way to avoid like having to rely on making a special move to get people to go out or raid or release a shiny. Oh boy, though, I know I've been enough on the internet, like I've opened up tweets and Instagrams to look at the replies that they get one too many times to know that some people will always find something to complain about, but if this helps satisfy some people's needs, I'm all for it. In fact, I'm already seeing signs of it before Mewtwo with his new armor form comes out. Like, I've gotten text messages from friends saying like, dude, we have to go get this Mewtwo, and similar things to that note. So it's definitely working in that sense. And I kind of hope that this leads the way to doing more promotional things like this that help keep the raid scene exciting. What else do we got here in the world of the Pokemon Go's? I've mentioned that the Dortmund community, or Go Fest, is ending soon, and we gain rewards then. So there's one more Go Fest that we have to go through, the one that's specifically for the age generation, Go Fest Yokohama 2019. Besides the promotional image that shows a bunch of Pikachus, Hoppits, Sailments, an unknown P hiding in the leaves, Piplup and Swinub, there isn't. Oh, I guess there's a few other things, like you can just barely see Chatot in the distance by the buildings, so I guess for that speculation that means Chatot will likely be the regional that they get. I don't really see too much of evidence yet of what the shiny release could be. Out of the things I see in here, this particular image, Hoppit and Poliwag are the ones that don't have their shiny form release. So I guess there's a slight possibility it could be one of those two, but I wouldn't be surprised if something else comes up in the future that ends up being the true shiny of the event. This will be taking place in Yokohama, Japan, and it starts Monday, August 5th, goes all the way to August 12th, the following Monday, and we'll probably be getting Blanc's Stardust challenge during that time frame. And while the milestones are larger, this is also the longest community or Go Fest out of every Go Fest that we had up to this point, so it's kind of ratioed out, if you know what I'm saying. And I guess it's worth knowing that the rewards for that particular challenge are worthwhile, because this is a set of the rewards for the endgame players, Stardust. From my personal observations, between my personal experience and players I've seen of lower levels, you basically care about experience until you get level 40 or close to it. Then you start caring about Stardust. So this current EXP event is more so for the under 40 players, while the Stardust challenge is for the above 40 players. Let me just go over to the official post real quick. It's basically your typical things. There's pretty much a Stardust parallel to everything that was in the EXP. Sparks, Blancs, here we go. The people actually at the Go Fest need to complete 2 million research tasks to unlock ×3 catch Stardust. Oh boy. Instinct needs to complete 25 million research tasks globally to unlock guaranteed 3,000 Stardust per array. Oh boy. Yay. More shade for Instinct. As they show graphics with them lagging behind. Anyways, Valor. Valor needs to complete 25 million research tasks globally to unlock 3 times Hatch Stardust, an excellent one, especially in combination with a star piece, which, speaking of, Mystic needs to complete 25 million research tasks to make star pieces last for an entire hour. Very, very good for people who like Stardust like myself. Stardust is a very important tool if you're interested in both raiding and PvP. And I'm tempted to go into tangents about my thoughts about how in regards to Stardust being so important for PvP, but that is probably something better saved for an editorial. Almost forgot about the quote-unquote most important thing. If everyone completes those research tasks, we shall get a Suicune Raid Day. I forget when the Suicune Raid Day is supposed to be, and it's not up on Go Ranger, but that's not until August, so there'll be plenty of time to let you guys know when that is, the following month. With all that said, I guess I can go into the last major things going on. Sunday, July 21st at 4 p.m., all the way to 7 p.m., is Mudkip Community Day. Yay! The important thing we gotta keep in mind, because it's so close though, is so close afterwards, I should say. August 3rd, from Well, this announcement says 3 to 6 p.m., but I'm pretty sure it's 4 to 7 p.m., just like Mudkip Community Day. It's a community day for August. That's all we really know about. That it's going to be on August 3rd. So we'll probably be finding out about that as soon, if not before, the end of Mudkip Community Day, which is the biggest reason I wanted to bring it up now. Now, back to the community day we actually know a bit about. Good old Mudkip Community Day. We got your typical things with the whole increased spawns of Mudkip, the shiny form will be released, and your 3-hour lures. Now, the event for this one in particular is ×3 catch experience. I was tempted to say it at least ties into Candela's experience bash. Let's be real, that's what they should call it. But unfortunately, that does end well before the Mudkip Community Day starts. And as a reminder, yes, it's Sunday 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm personally still getting used to that time frame for events, so I want to make sure that you guys are well aware that it starts at 4 p.m. We do not know what the special move is going to be, but one, I'm sure they'll reveal it soon, and two, I'm willing to bet a good hat that it's going to be Hydro Cannon. They may do something like they did with Blaziken, where they technically do introduce 2 new moves for Community Day. One you can only get within the window, which would probably be Hydro Cannon, and another that they do afterward that you can get during Community Day and onwards. Again, I'm real far into the speculation train here, but while we're riding the speculation train, this may be a time to pull up the fact that there were some new moves in the data mine a while back. One of them included Muddy Water, a move that I wouldn't say is signature to Mudkip and this evolution Mars Stomp / Swampert, but definitely well associated with Swampert. So if they were going to do that sort of bam, Community Day move, and bam, post-Community Day move, I would bet that Muddy Water would be that post-Community Day move. But I'm sure as we get closer to the Community Day, we'll find out more then. Again, I've said it once, but I'll say it again because it'll be so easy to forget. We got that on Sunday, July 21st, but the following Community Day is August 3rd, which, oh my god, I knew it was close, but I just pulled up a calendar here and realized how close it is. It's the following week. We are basically, due to technicalities of the, I would say United States, but I'm pretty sure it's worldwide, the planet Earth calendar, we are getting a Community Day 2 weeks in a row. I'm trying to think if this has ever happened before in the history of Pokemon Go, and nothing in particular is coming to mind. So yeah, if you have to take time off for work for Community Day, definitely worth keeping in mind that you'll want to take Sunday, July 21st, but you'll want to make sure you leave some time left over for the following week, with Community Day being August 3rd on the Saturday. August is going to be a pretty hype month. We'll be tailgating right off the end of the Community Day for July and going straight into a second Community Day. Honestly, this is a blessing and curse for me personally, because I tend to do better when these Pokemon Go events are spaced out. I kind of feel guilty about not spending enough time working at home when they have Pokemon Go events like this. They don't feel like I can miss having so close together, but you know what? For right now, I'm gonna look at this positively and ride the hype. You know what? And I'm gonna ride this hype so hard, I'm just gonna start speculating. So take everything I'm gonna say for the next few minutes with a grain of salt, but I got a prediction, and I'm pretty sure it's an unoriginal prediction about the August Community Day. If you couldn't tell from before, this is pretty much going to be the episode where I break all status quo when it comes to leaving data mining out and letting people find what they want out of it on their own, because there's just way too much to speculate. So much, in fact, I got a whole bonus episode planned of this podcast just around speculation from a data mine, but I'll get more into that at the end. We finally got a very quick move coming to Pokemon Go. It's not officially in yet, but the data for the move Charm was found, and if I'm not mistaken, it was confirmed that there isn't anything special about it. It's just a generic, very quick move, one that does damage and helps you charge up for a charge move, and honestly, that's all we need for the type. Yes, and yes, this is going where you think I'm taking it. I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting a fairy type Pokemon for the upcoming Community Day in August. The two candidates come to mind is Clefairy and Ralts, and considering that we've pretty much got Shiny Clefairy in the game, if only by its baby form, though I just feels like there's way too much conflicting information about that, or at least the fact of whether or not Shiny Clefairy is in the wild. I haven't checked my sources in a while. Point being, that kind of leaves Ralts as the Community Day mon, and man, this is one that I think people have built up the hype for a lot, maybe even too much. To throw my 2 cents in about the possibility of a Ralts Community Day, the obvious thing to do would introduce Charm as a quick move for Ralts evolution, but personally I find 2 problems with this. One, Ralts is a split evolution. After evolving to Corellia, it can either evolve into Gallade, if it's the male form with a Sinnoh Stone. Otherwise, male or female, without the Sinnoh Stone, it evolves into Gardevoir. While Gardevoir is a fairy type that would benefit from a very quick move, probably one of the best fairy types we have in the game, to the point where all that's keeping it from being relevant in a lot of raid meta is the lack of a very quick move. However, this does leave Gallade in a bit of a predicament because it's a psychic fighting type, not a psychic fairy type. So it would be a little bit unorthodox to give Gallade Charm for its quick move. So here's how I'm thinking about that they would approach it, and not just because I have my own personal reasons to want to be able to not have the fairy quick move be Community Day exclusive. I think if they're going to do a Ralts Community Day, they would have 2 Community Day moves. A charge move that focused around Gallade, and a charge move that focused around Gardevoir. But in a similar style to how they handled Torchic Community of introducing 2 moves, I think they would introduce Charm as that move that you would have access to from Ralts Community Day onwards. Personally, I think this would be perfect. Not only would people who held on to a Gardevoir that they really want to use for so long be able to TM to that Charm, people who miss out on Community Day won't be missing out completely on the relevancy of an entire type. And while I may have a little bit of bias to this because I have a perfect IV Gardevoir that I've been holding on to for a long time, I also think that this is just fair for the general public as a whole. Because Fairy as a type has been held back so long for this one particular thing, and it would just suck if for some reason you couldn't make it to the Ralts Community Day, and any Gardevoir you got would be made irrelevant just because you weren't around to evolve it for that one particular day. That's my 2 cents in all this though. We'll have to wait until we get a little bit closer to this August Community Day to find out exactly what it is. I actually think it would kind of suck if they waited until after Mudkip Community Day and to let us know what the Pokemon for this August Community Day is, because, well, I've emphasized just how close the 2 are together. There's barely going to be any time to get hype if it actually is a good Pokemon with how close together they are. Anyways, before I end things off with my own personal experiences with Pokemon Go as a medium, I want to talk a little bit more about this thing I've been alluding. The reason I just turn a blind eye to my typical policy of just ignoring the data mines. This is your last warning before I dump it all on you. It won't be too long. It'll be 5 minutes at most, because this ties into the bonus episode that I want to do for you all. Hey, if you're actually following this to a T when it comes to how far in advance you gotta skip, give yourself 7 minutes rather than just 5. I kind of rambled a little bit more than I was expecting because I wanted to include things like, hey, if you guys have things to say on this topic too, be sure to contact me so I can include that in the episode when I finish editing it. Stuff like that. So yeah, just a little forewarning. Starting now. Oh my god, I can't believe they're actually doing Shadow Pokemon into Pokemon Go. It is surreal. The Pokemon Company just feels like it refuses to even acknowledge the existence of those darn games. Ever since XD Gale Darkness came out, we haven't heard anything from the characters or the world. Nothing. The people who even made those games, Genius Serrani, they went on to just make freaking puzzle games, and good for them to actually create something that was engaging as Pokemon Shuffle. But when I made the connection that the people who made the Pokemon Shuffle games were the same people that made the Shadow Pokemon games, I kind of just gave up on the idea of anyone responsible for Pokemon media ever acknowledging the existence of those GameCube games ever again. To the point when I first started hearing people talking about them, I had to back myself up and take a super skeptical look. Go are you sure when they say purified was found in the game code that couldn't possibly mean something else? Purify is a really vague word. I think you're blowing this out of proportion. Oh my god, they actually have a list of Pokemon they specifically want to include as Shadow Pokemon. They actually have things, differentiation between Shadow and Normal in the game's code. There's a bunch of code that can imply that they actually play a role in the game's quote-unquote plot. There's going to be events revolving around these things. They've actually specified Stardust and Candy amounts to purify a Pokemon. This is actually real. R.I.P. Rational Jack K. He's been ran over by the hype train, and his spirit is riding it high. So yeah, I am going to dedicate a whole podcast just talking about this more. I assume that a lot of people who play Pokemon Go either only played the first couple generations, or have never picked up a Pokemon game at all. I'm sure there's a lot of people, especially those who actually listen to podcasts, well aware of all the generations of Pokemon, but I'm certain that there's also a good chunk of people who aren't. And to be fair, even if you played every generation of Pokemon, there's still a chance you haven't heard of Coliseum or XD Gale Darkness, because technically they're spin-offs. I personally consider them canon, but technically they're spin-offs. Games in the series they have to go off the beaten path of Pokemon to find. To the point where people would say things like Pokemon X and Y are the first 3D Pokemon games, or that Sword and Shield is going to be the first Pokemon console game. And it makes me hurt inside. It kind of hurts my soul, but that's not part of the point. So I'm going to dedicate a special bonus episode to talk you through the history of Shadow Pokemon, especially why those games are so important to me as a Pokemon fan. Bringing up the speed of what a Shadow Pokemon is, how it ties into the world established in the main game where these Shadow Pokemon came from, and how it could tie back into Pokemon Go. And then we're gonna ride the speculation train all the way to Mars. We're not only going to speculate how this is going to be incorporated into Pokemon Go, we're going to talk about how this could impact Pokemon Go. We're going to talk about the long-term effects this could have on Pokemon Go. And I don't just say we because I have the Let's Play mindset on my mind. I don't want to just talk about this by myself. I want to talk about this with other people. In fact, I'm already trying to work on bringing a close friend of mine. Maybe not as well known in the Pokemon Go community, but I know the Shadow Pokemon games have had just as large of an impact on him as they've had myself. So I can't think of a better person to bring on to talk about this sort of thing. And if you guys have played either Pokemon Coliseum or Pokemon XD Gale Darkness, I'd love to hear what you have to say as well. You have your typical avenues to reach out to me, Twitter. I'll definitely be sure to pay attention to the comments for this particular video when it goes live on YouTube. And if you got it, I can even be reached by email. I do have a YouTube email. That would be jacketkU2b@gmail.com. I could have one set up for this podcast, but for this in particular, if you have anything to add to this conversation, either as a fan of those games or someone who's never heard of them before, but I'm really excited about what this could bring into Pokemon Go, feel free to email me there, comment me, tweet at me, do whatever you have to do to reach out to me, because I want to hear feedback from everyone about this. And I'll even try to leave notes of some of the favorite comments that I've received in this special podcast in of itself. I was hoping to have it out for Monday, but then I thought it would be better not to rush this. Even if I am able to record it over the weekend, I want to give myself plenty of time to edit it. Especially if I want to include feedback from viewers and listeners. I might as well just wait until this goes live, so I can see if I can include some of those comments in as well. I am excited to talk about it, especially before it comes out, so no promises. I may at least record the majority of the episode before this even goes live, so I may not have an opportunity to include comments that I receive afterwards, but if I do, I definitely will. And I'll try to pull something up on Twitter, and if I can think of another platform that would reach out to people to talk about it, I'll throw something up on there too. But the point being, I'll try to get viewer impact before this goes live as well, so I have some opportunity to include their voice as well. Oh, okay, that went a little bit longer than I thought. Hopefully I I added in a little note saying like, hey, it's more like 6 minutes before I stop rambling about this potential spoilery thing, rather than just leave it at 5, but I'll sort that out. I am kind of like editing this as I'm going through, so it will all work out in the end. Now that we're done with all that, and I pretty much spent all the morning hours before the sun comes out to melt me, I might just try to breeze through my personal experiences for the month. Because there's a wide variety of things have happened. Eggs were hatched. Many 10-kilometer eggs were hatched with no gibble in tow. There was Kyogre raid days. There was the karma from helping someone get the Go Fest come back around. Good old little karma, my little Pachirisu. And I might even be able to do some more trades with the person later on to try to get lucky. Also picked up my female Hippopotamus that way, which I plan to evolve into, so I have both the male and female version of that. Only discover a bit later on in the month that there was a Hippopotamus nest, so I mean, like, at least I don't have to worry about the candies for that. There's a perfect Onyx that I caught, which is now a Steelix with all these GoFest events revolving around evolving Pokemon for a random prize. I like scourging the bottom of the barrel to try to find anything and everything that I had even the slightest interest in evolving. So, on top of building my archive of trading fodder for when I go to Con Bravo at the end of this month. By the way, real hype about that. I was trying to hope to get back in touch with some people that I met up with last year in Con Bravo, because I'm actually best friends with some of them. So on the off chance they have a regional or a Pokemon I don't have, it'd be really good for trading, especially with the current event going on that reduces the amount of Stardust from a trade. I've had this little thing, which I definitely remember talking about in the Game and Chill that I did last Friday. I think I gotta remember if I have the footage. I know I record footage, and I wanted to do like a Power Ranger parody. That's all I'm gonna give away. But it's just a matter if I'm gonna have the time to edit something silly like that. And this little guy that I got on the same day, he makes me so happy. Like, I was feeling really down in the dumps that day, and this gold pup just helped me get back out of the dark shadows, if only for a little bit. I still got shows to trade like before. Oh yeah, I did enter Rainbow Cup last month. I have all the footage recorded. I guess I can give you an update on how I am with editing that. I have it all laid out on Sony Vegas, but I have not recorded the commentary for it yet. And I'm tempted to like split it in half, because it definitely goes beyond the 30-minute window. So I'm thinking like it might be 2 videos worth of content. I'll have to sit down with it when I get a chance to make sure though. For now, podcasting, I have to finish that up before I think about anything else. Got another day of Kyogering where I got another shiny Kyogre. How am I up with the shiny count anyways? Like 2 that first raid dinner hour, 1 from the following raid dinner hour. I think I even talked about Slowpoke already, but yeah, I caught a shiny Treecko outside Treecko Community Day. Can't think of anything more lucky and yet unlucky. Talked about that dumb luck with Raikou raiding, but the good luck I had with the few passes I had to work with. I forgot to mention at the tournament, I finally got my Torkoal. I'm not sure if that was the guy's last Torkoal, or was just being really stubborn about giving it, because like I tried to. He wasn't intending to give it away, only interested in trading something valuable for it in return. Had pretty much every shiny I had minus Meditites. And to be fair, I was kind of salty about getting a second shiny Meditite during that fighting event when I already got one at Florida, so guess what I had to trade him in return for it. Yep. I did some trades with one of my younger sisters, and this isn't a good example of it, but In the process of just giving her Piplups to help her build up the candies to actually evolve one of her own, she got lucky in the process. And I bring this up because this was from some of the tradings I did at that PvP tournament. During the idle time, I tried to find people to trade starters with to help build up my Lucky collection for community days, and sure enough, I got that Lucky Piplup, which was good because when I was training my sister Piplups, what did I even get in return? It was either this Honchkrow or this Swablu. I think it was the Honchkrow, because the Swablu was part of her trying to give me Pokemon to get candies to evolve her own. Backtracking back to the Raikus, which, oh yeah, I already talked about. We actually had a lot of walking that we did after the PvP tournament and the trades, which is part of why I don't like doing too many Pokemon Go things in a row, because when I get involved in an event, I get involved, and it takes a good chunk of the day, and I get overwhelmed if I lose too much, if I spend too much time doing one thing for a long period of time and all. Apparently did some Groudon raids. Hatched myself a little party hat Pichu. I do got a couple 7-kilometer eggs in the mist. They may not be another Pichu, but at least I got one. There's the residues of that Hippopotas nest. I'm mostly holding on to all these guys because I know people in my local area don't really have too many Hippopotas, so I was hoping to trade some from them. And oh boy, the legendary Groudon night. I was not expecting that to be a thing. It was Wednesday, beginning of my holiday weekend. Just wanted to walk and chill. And then I find out that there was a legendary dinner hour during that time frame. And oh boy, it really just led to hype train being rolled all the way. Unlike most raid trains, it was actually on foot, which I think is the first time I've had a mass raid that did not involve vehicles in any shape or form. That in and of itself was pretty dang hype, I have to admit. But not only do I finally have a shiny Groudon, it's not the greatest Groudon in the world, but it does have perfect attack. It's not the best on range, but it has perfect attack, so I guess that's something. And I've actually cleaned out quite a few of my Groudons already. Because, man, I just want to have the bag space, man. I forgot to mention in the gaming show I just recorded, but when I was out, I guess that was the thing from Thursday I couldn't remember. There was other things, but part of that time was spent out with my family over at Fort Niagara. And in the process, I did some trades with my sister and got this lucky Heracross. It's a little bit low level because she's a low level player. It's got perfect attack and is best of them, so I'm conflicted whether or not I'm actually going to use it or not. The fact that his perfect attack probably means that it's terrible for PvP. A bit of a shame with the Jungle Cup coming up, but to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to even have the time to do Jungle Cup. As interesting as it is and as much as I want to do it, one, I just haven't had the opportunity to host a tournament at home, and two, I'm pretty sure the weekend at the college they do PvP at would normally do their tournament. It's the same weekend I'll be out for Con Bravos, so, or it'll at least be so close that I'm not sure if I want to take 2 weekends off in a row. So that's a big maybe, and I have this feeling that I just won't be able to. Now, if only I could remember the other thing of significance Thursday, the one of two things. But as I try to do so, just yesterday, I had to go out for a job interview, so I decided to take the rest of the day to run some errands and spend a couple hours walking. And now I got the double shine luck. I got this wonderful Shelter, which is really compatible with the best of them. Best qualities of defense. Stats are really strong. I haven't put exact things in the IB checker because I'm scared, but it's definitely better than the last shiny Shelter I have. So it'll probably be the one I evolve. Because I haven't evolved the shiny Shelter that I hatched, purely because I was, I guess, afraid is a good term, of losing out on this orange glory of a clamshell. And just as I was getting ready to head home, I come across this beauty. Now, as you may know, probably because I mentioned it already, but they turned up the spawns of Alolan Pokemon, not right away but eventually, to condole with the fact that for part of the Pokemon Go anniversary, they released the shiny forms of Alolan Pokemon into the world. And I know this may be a controversial take, but out of all the Alolan shinies, this glorious redhead blondie is the one that I wanted the most. It was so hyped to actually get him, so worried I wouldn't even be able to. Honestly, I should try to get out. I shouldn't be podcasting. I should be out trying to get another chance at an Alolan shiny while the spawns are still out, but I committed myself to this, so I'm gonna finish it. And that is about all that I did on that particular day out. And since that was just yesterday, I think that pretty much covers everything of significance that happened. So I guess that's good. That means I can end things off here, right? No, while I'm thinking of it though, let me see if I can find that other shelter. See how good it is. It was hatched during a community day so long ago, so it's probably buried way in the bottom here. I didn't think it was that low. Shelter. Here we go, cough drop. Did I really call it cough drop? Yeah, oh my god, this cough drop came from an egg. Yet, it is not as good as the shiny shelter that I caught in the wild. Neither in Ivy's or CP. So that's pretty darn good. This is probably going to be the guy that I evolve. And now I think I got everything that I've been meaning to say out of my head. Oh, hey. Let me check out this video that showed up on my Twitter feed real quick. I swear it's related. Pokemon Go, as I'm recording this, just tweeted out the following. Attention trainers. We are aware of reports of a hot air balloon with an R logo hovering around Pokemon Go Fest over the past few days in Dortmund, Germany. We are monitoring the situation and looking into it. Reported by Twitter user Couple of Gaming. Sorry, like the preview mode that it pulls out when a video is playing, the text is really tiny on the screen and it's kind of like black on black. It's a miracle that I was able to read it in and of itself. But hey, what's done is done. I think that's a good note to end things off on. Thank you all for tuning in to this edition of the Pokemon Go Fireside Chat. If you enjoy what you see, I encourage you to like, share, and comment on the feed that you are listening to this to. If you're listening to me, I do other gaming content on YouTube as well. So if you search Jackie K on there or put in the URL youtube.com/jacket, KONG, that will get you to my YouTube page and you can find the other content I do. Speaking of the different places you can watch my content, again, if you got things to reach out to me about the topic I talk about today, especially this one that I want to make a bonus episode about, feel free to reach out to me in the ways I listed there. Either tweeting at me at Twitter, which by the way is Jacket Stuff, spelled the same way as Jacket K, but with some stuff at the end. The comments of this video when it goes up live. Or if you have no other comfortable way to reach out to me, you can also do so by my YouTube email of jacket2ub@gmail.com. That's pronounced jacketkyoutube@gmail.com. Look forward to hearing your insights on this particular data of mine that's really got me hyped. Maybe too much hype. I'm totally going to be heartbroken, but I'm just going to ride this hype train and take in the high while I can. Oh yeah, I have a website, which will be listed in the show notes / video description. And you can pretty much find all the social media outlets you can reach out to me at, an organized way to get to the various types of content I do, schedule of things to come, all that's on the site. And the link to that site is in the show notes, along with the other links that I've mentioned. With all that, I should be good to close things out. Thank you all for tuning in, and hope to see you all for the next one. Take care.